Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the latest edition of the Cadenhead tasting, online tastings. My name's Cameron, and I'm joined with Sophia tonight.
Hello.
And as usual, the company stalwart Nathan, who's behind the camera, not saying any expletives this time as well.
For once.
For once, exactly. So tonight we're going to be doing 6 drams, 4 from original collection and 2 from our Enigma range, which we'll explain very shortly. These will all be released tomorrow. Also, as usual, we will take any questions you've got. Anything that you want to ask us, please add it in the comments. We'll try and answer as many as we can. As usual, anything we don't know, we'll just make up anyway. But we want to be as transparent as possible, so it also helps us. So please ask us anything you've got. We will also give you some information of what's upcoming with Cadenheads, what we'll be doing, and seems to be quite a lot of travelling actually just coming up.
Going on this weekend, actually.
So that might take up most of the time. But to get things going, I think we'll start the tasting, and we'll start at 1, which is probably the sensible thing to do. And number 1 we've got here is a Dailuaine 12-year-old. Again, it's as part of our original collection range, and it's at 46%. So this Dailuaine was a mix of bourbon hogsheads, which we originally purchased. We hadn't changed any of the casks. We've added, I think it's roughly about 6 together. Thought it was a bit maybe much, some good flavours behind it, but what we did with the reduction really helped kind of open it up as well. Bit more kind of palatable too, and it helped to give some more kind of orchard fruit kind of flavours, a bit of apple crumble in it, some icing sugar. And Dailuaine is also one of these spirits which, if you speak to any of our team, I've always been quite a big fan of. It's always been a kind of independent bottler's favourites. There is a bit more of it available in the market for the likes of independents. It's maybe not as desirable as the sort of mainstreams, your Ardbegs, your Lafroigs, etc. But there's a real place for it owned by Diageo, and they will use it for a lot of their components in a lot of their blends too, but also have own bottlings as well. This is a good summer dram for me as well. Oh, even though we're coming into pretty much the winter now. We've had our 3 days of sun, so now we're getting all the rain just now. But I think it's got that really kind of light, fruity, zesty kind of style of whiskey as well, which I really quite like. It's about as, you know, it showcases the distillate of Dailuaine as well, I think. It's maybe got a style that's, it's a bit unusual, you might say. It's got a kind of, I don't know how we're going to describe it. It's
like a great body to it, but lots of fruit flying around. And this was also like a component of one of our highball cocktails as part of our Cadenheads in the Courtyard. That was last week, and it went down marvellously well. So it makes a cracking highball.
That's a good segue onto the Cadenheads in the Courtyard, which, if those that don't know, it's a yearly event that we have here in Campbelltown. Should add, we're actually filming this not in our usual studio, as it's getting some work done to it. Well, it's getting pretty much knocked down just now, but we're in our tasting room in Campbelltown, which normally is serving delightful whiskies and soup and excellent food as well. But tonight it's hosting me and you and Nathan for this tasting. And last week we had the Courtyard event where we had 120 people in the Courtyard, where we do many warehouse tastings. We had some demonstrations. We had the production team showing some re-racking and some re-gauges of casks. We had Sophia doing a demonstration on sherries and influence of sherry and whiskey. We had our vault as well, which is now our yearly occurrence, where the building beside us where our mail order is situated. It was a former bank, and we kept the old vault inside it. So we do these kind of cask samples that people have the chance to purchase on the day, kind of one-offs at the time. What else did we do?
Like a lucky dip Wheel of Fortune.
We did with the new Wheel of Fortune as well,
which was made by our very own Grant McPherson. So those were, I think, 2 of those were bopping about, and you didn't know whether you get a 46-year-old Glenvore or a 17-year-old, say, Caribbean rum, all sorts of bits and pieces up for grabs.
Well, that's the idea of the lucky dip too. And I remember a couple of years ago we did it, and the first lot of people came in and they went up. and they come up to me and it was like, oh, I've got a 6-year-old grain whiskey, and this one was like a 4-year-old peated whiskey. But then their two mates was a Rosebank 39-year-old, and somebody got a 35-year-old Highland Park. And it's like, that's the luck of the draw with it, and that's the whole point of it. And it's a bit of fun behind it too, and that's the kind of idea behind it. I'm just seeing who is on so far. We've got JMKTF. Hi there, can't wait being Campbelltown the last week of November. Cadenheads and Kilcairn warehouse tasting and barley at bottle tour. Says, any advice for that time of year? Well, you seem to be doing everything, so I'm not entirely sure which more we can advise. But that time of year, you were saying actually it might be potentially the Christmas light switch on in Campbelltown. I would bring maybe a waterproof jacket as well, just in case. Although knowing us, we're probably going to have a week of sun then rather than July and August. Ruth's actually mentioned that, bring a windproof umbrella, which if that thing existed, it would make a fortune here. We also have Gav's Drams. Hello, Gav. Hope you've recovered from your weekend last week. We have Las Vernias. Please excuse my pronunciation of that. Greetings from Boston. So that's quite far away there. So we've got a Whiskey Mechanic as well. So there's quite a few on tonight. So again, any questions, so just keep them coming. But let us know as well what you think of the first one too, the Dailuaine. And again tonight, one of the things we've got, this one's a bourbon cask. We've got 3 bourbon casks. We've got 3 other alternative cask types. And one of the things that we always say is we try and provide as much variety as possible when we're selecting our releases as well. And this kind of style, like this always sort of suits me especially, I hate to say it's a starting point because I feel that kind of undermines it slightly. But it's a really good whiskey. You could end up drinking, don't mean too much in one go, because you've got to be responsible when you're drinking as well, as I know everyone here is. Present company excluded. But it is that kind of style. It's a really good one to begin the tasting with as well.
And really accessible. So, got any more questions? No?
We've got quite a few different places. We've got questions from Belfast.
Hello.
With that, I'm not going to pronounce it again because I made a mess of it the first time. But I had a blast at Cadenhead in the courtyard. Very rewarding trip to Scotland overall. Hopefully I can make it to the next one. Hope so too as well. And again, it is one of these things that does sell out pretty quickly. I think we'll have some announcements pretty soon as to when. Next year will be the first week of September. But we'll probably try and give some more information in our socials pretty soon. Club members, as usual, will get first announcements as well. So if you're not a member of the Cadenhead Club, I would recommend going on to cadenhead.shop and buying purchasing a membership. It's a lifetime membership too. And there is only about 120 tickets to these events, so they sell out almost instantly as well. Because we did have quite a few trying to get tickets in the end that wanting waiting lists, but unfortunately they were like gold dust.
And the lifetime membership is £75. So there's all sorts as part of that. 3 warehouse tastings a year, and first notification on anything that we've got going on throughout the year.
We also do tastings. It's just actually mentioned. Forgot about that. We do tastings for the club members as well. The night before the courtyard, so it was a week ago now. The club tasting where we did our quiz. We tried a more interactive quiz. It was more of to test the senses, because we thought we would try it with our flavour wheel. It's one of these things that we're trying to kind of promote as well. That in our heads, it seemed a good idea at the time. I think we got away with it. It was maybe it was a bit more difficult with 120 people in than we first thought, but we eventually got there in the end. With some rounds, obviously. There's a smell, sight, touching as well. So we did manage to get it. So we tried to make it more interactive as well, but you're obviously limited with such a big crowd.
And by touching things in a box that you couldn't see, and kind of had to try and work out what it was. So
we've got some
touching above board, absolutely.
We've got a rapscallion in Glasgow, a Grant McPherson. You should be working, so you should. That's a good. Well, we go on to the next and then we
Yeah,
can explain actually where Grant and that is too.
So for our next round, so I'm not drinking tonight, nothing nefarious, just on some antibiotics. That's why I'm not drowning along with you. But number two,
You too many
is,
drums last night. That's
I know, just too drank it. So our next one is a Tomatin. It's 16 years old, also part of the original collection, and at a customary 46%. And Tomatin is amazing, isn't it? It's just like flying fruit always. So they do about 168 hours of fermentation, so it's practically a week. It used to be, once upon a time, the, I say, largest distillery in Scotland, had about, was it 23 or so stills, now only has 10. So it's beaten into a pulp by Glenfiddich in that standpoint now. But this has started off life in bourbon. So holding that lovely fruity, say, creaminess to it. And there's a bit of kind of, say, an orange peel-like feel for me. But I say flavour is totally personal, so whatever you feel is totally true. And then this has been spending time in a Manthania sherry cask since 2020. So for those last 5 years of its life. So Manthania sherry is Fino, that's from the coast in Jerez. So above, well, not by Cadiz, but above it. And it has an amazing kind of, say, freshness to it and a saltiness to it. So that seaside location gives that salt. But rather than slightly further down the coast where it's a little bit more humid, a little bit more sweaty, a bit more sweaty socks, which we won't quite have in this, it's got a lovely, say, fresh influence from the freshwater river, the Guadalquivir river that flows along into that inlet too. So manzanilla in Spanish means chamomile, so you might pick up some kind of chamomile taste to it as well. And so I say news on this kind of like street waffle, as we were saying, cardamom kind of feel to it as well. So a nice winter warmer. So when you're saying what should I be doing the last week of November, come to the taste room, have a bowl of Lauren's famous array of soups and a wee Tomatin on the side.
That's exactly it. You do realise you're not meant to learn anything from a Cadenhead's whiskey tastings. This is very interesting there as well. And in fact, we've had a question from a Christian K. Hello, all. Question for the team. I noticed in Whiskey Base that some of the bottles of this Alternate are available in the Netherlands from August. Do you usually release these earlier in some countries? Well, actually, this is the first time we've tried to do this. When we're doing releases, especially internationally, it takes time to get shipped from Campbelltown to, well, it's going across the world. So it's difficult to release everything at the same time. But what we did is we tried to release it a bit, release it later in the UK to give the rest of the world a bit of a chance to start getting it on the shelves. So the likes of probably Central Europe would have got it first. Obviously, when you're talking about the likes of New Zealand and Australia, it's going to be another 3 months before it reaches there. The US, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, etc. But Netherlands is a country that Sophia has been to recently as well, and will be going to again in the near future too.
So was out in, say, June for a sales drive after being in Poland. I'll actually be going back to Poland in October time for M&P's both Wine and Spirits Festival, and then in November we'll be at then the Hag Festival for a good solid 3 days. So we'll have all of our releases there if they've, I say, lasted until then, but I'll certainly be taking, I say, some iteration of it there, and that'll be just after Spits in the Sky in Belgium, and then before popping out to see you guys in South Korea and Taiwan as well. And it will have got to Taiwan by then.
That's a good segue onto actually the bit of the travels, because we see Grant McPherson, who is our sales manager for the whole of the UK as well. He is currently on his way to Birmingham. He's in Glasgow tonight, actually. I think
so. Yeah.
He's got a busy work tonight at Top Golf, I believe. That's so Grant will be in Birmingham along with Sean Setton from our London shop as well. So that's the Midlands Whisky Festival they'll be at. Also this weekend, Lorna from the Campbelltown shop is going to be in Newcastle for the Whisky Indie Love Festival. It's one that we've been, I think this is maybe second or third year. It's been on the go. It's getting more and more popular each year. And Carly, who you may know, who oversees the club and does a lot of our marketing as well. Carly is going to be in Aberdeen this weekend for I always forget this one.
The Scottish National
It's
Whisky
the Scottish
Festival,
National Whisky Festival.
which is also covered by Aberdeen Whisky Shop. So, which will be Nick and the gang.
Don't trust anybody from Aberdeen Whisky Shop. That's one from Whisky Rover. Love the Dailuaine. Hopefully more incoming. Yep, we've got. It's actually a good thing that recently you might have noticed that a lot of the kind of whiskey in the whiskey world now, there is a bit more getting made available, and the last 2 years especially, we're starting to see more and more distilleries becoming. I mean, even a couple of years ago, Dailuaine was almost unobtainable for. We were lucky we had some stock previously, but to get new stock, it was either ridiculous costs or it was so difficult to get. But now we're seeing that there's more and more. In fact, there's a big order of ones coming in January, I think, along with many other casks as well. Some we've not seen for a while, with a big order just coming in recently there with a bunch of, Glenlossies and Manickmores, and we've got some in today actually, which is quite interesting. Some Peaty Dalmore. We've not tried it yet, so don't get too excited. I should probably try it first before getting too excited.
It might be a tomorrow job.
So that could be tomorrow. So they just came in earlier on today, so I haven't had a chance to see them. Also, currently with the travelling, I should add, Jenna is in the US just now. She just went to San Francisco today, so she's currently there for 2 weeks. Sorry. You're going to
Paris. So be there for an event on Saturday, and then the Salon Dugas Club Expert on Sunday, Monday as well.
So everybody's getting about, apart from me and Nathan. We're going to Glasgow this weekend for Nathan's brother's wedding, so that's unfortunately nothing to. We're not getting to go to Paris though, or San Francisco.
It's not quite Tiny Violins.
But we're allowed to get out though. That's the thing. Yes,
got a pass.
I'll see if there's any more. Ruth saying it's a brilliant show in Newcastle. Always recommend it. Also, Lauren's fantastic raised soups should be patented. I completely agree there. That's not sure how we could manage that, but maybe we could.
You can vote for your favourites in the comments.
Were any of these in the wheel during the courtyard? We got that from Devlin Gray. No, none of these were on the wheel at the courtyard. The wheel had 80 samples of whiskies and rums. It was about 69 whiskies, 11 rums, I think it was. And it is basically cask samples that we've got in the warehouses. So any of the ones that you were trying have not been released that were on the wheel. So it does take a bit of time to try and get ones, and some of them we try that we think are like, and we'll always price them accordingly as well. Like somebody might go, that's interesting. Maybe not think of bottling it yet, but I know that there'll be somebody who is a fan of, for instance, if it's a Dailuaine or a Tomatin or a Benriach, they might go, hey, try that one. Obviously, the popular ones are going to be the Glenvores, the Little Mills, the Rosebanks, but there's also some hidden gems. A lot of the blended malts, actually. We didn't really shout about them too much, and they did that deliberately because some people were going, that's really good, that one. And it was like a blend of maybe it was some good Campbelltown distilleries, or there was another blend that had a pretty famous Islay distillery, really a teaspooned one. So we try and be a bit unassuming as well, so that people aren't just going to go straight for, if we say it's an Ardbeg or Rosebank or whatever. You want to try and showcase. I mean, we've got over 100 different whiskies in our warehouses, so we're not, we have to try and showcase everybody's whiskies, and there's always a good example of somebody's whiskey.
But they also can all stand strong on their own side by side. That a blended malt, it's no lesser than a single malt or anymore. It's just all sorts of bits and bobs in a very good way of removing prejudice
Yeah.
and trying something maybe a bit different.
The Dylan Gray said again that there's a 40-year-old undisclosed Highland in the wheel. Yeah, that is a sister cask of the casks of one that's coming up in the lineup later on. So we've still got a few of those left in the warehouse. Excellent. What have we got here? Ruth said some of the blended malts were lovely. Thanks, Ruth. Again, the 17-year-old Glentalkers in the wheel was an under the radar cracker. Whiskey Rover still trying to get through his creations blends as well. Again, I think some of the blends that we've been doing, you know, some of the blended malts, and again, what he says, if you take away the prejudice, and even sometimes if you tell them what's in it, there's some good stuff. Like for instance, our Malts Festival blend, which contained an Orkney whiskey, 50% of it was that, and 50% of it was a Hazelburn and Kilcairn. You know, but we're trying to not tell people to begin with, because instantly those names you're going to be drawn to. Yeah, I mean, it was good. You know, it was just that you want to try and be a bit unassuming to begin with, because it was good. With, you know, like, and when we're trying to do them, you actually think, will this work? Or is it one of those things that you think isn't going to work? And it was like, yeah, it works quite well when you've got good spirit from good distilleries too. Doesn't always work like that, but sometimes you need like maybe a lesser known spirit to help boost a blend. Like sometimes it's got a characteristic in it that might not seem. I'll always go back to this one. Myself and Ronald were selecting it was a festival bottling about 5 or 6 years ago, and what we're doing was it was an undisclosed Speyside distillery in Glenfarclas, and what we did was we would try, I think it was 5 samples, it was 10 or 5 or 10 samples of bourbon cask ones and 5 or 10 sherry, and we fancied a blend of sherry, and so we rated each one, and so we thought, okay, the 2 best sherries go with the bourbon, that should make the best composition, and it did.
Yeah,
you know, it's like, oh right, okay. Turned out it was like this. I can't remember the exact order, and I should probably change this every time I tell the story. But it was like the second best sherry with the 5th best bourbon and the 7th best sherry as well. They made the best composition because the 5th best bourbon had a kind of maybe a peppery note in it, which actually helped boost the flavor profile. Whereas the first one that we put together, it wasn't as good as the sum of its parts. You know, it was just like, it was okay. You know, don't get me wrong, it wasn't bad, but it was like, nah.
but they didn't marry together.
No.
And it's like, I think anyone who's done the blending session will know this, that you might have your faves that you go, oh, I really like that on its own, I really like that on its own, and then you pair it together and go, oh nope, like they do not play well together at all. And that is the art of blending, which is difficult.
It's a good bit of upselling as well for the blending sessions. I'd always recommend, if you haven't tried them, we have the blending lab here in Campbelltown too, so you get to come try 8 different blind. Again, it's the thing that we do. We don't want to have any prejudice with any ages or distillery types, or we don't even tell you the cask types to begin with. You can take a good guess, to be honest with you, at what they are, but you get the chance to create your own whiskey as well, and it gives people a bit of a challenge. I think it's not as easy as it looks.
Absolutely not.
You know, and I think we get a lot of people coming and trying it and actually go, that's actually quite tough. And it's like,
I did it in my
it's
first
just not easy. It isn't.
It really is not easy at all. Gives you a brand new appreciation for blending. And I'm sorry if I caused a sound ripple with my knee there on the table.
No.
Got anything else?
I think,
right now?
I think everything else is okay just now. Well, maybe Michael Scott says the blending session is brilliant fun. Good to hear from you, Michael. Wonderful. You've got one. We'll go on to the next one actually, and I'll maybe ask this. So
come back.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So if you're ready for your 3rd jam, pick it up and give it a wee nose and maybe a wee eye too. So this is 12 years old, and this started life in a bourbon cask, but then been re-racked into Amontillado sherry. So a lovely little Franken sherry that sits between your very dry sherries and your sweet sherries, so your biologically aged sherries and your oxidatively aged sherries. So essentially, we can go into that in a moment, but I was pouring this for my little sherry demonstration last week, paired with the Amontillado. And Amontillado is maybe sometimes not as you quite expect. So it's got a nuttiness to it and a freshness too. So kind of a bit citric and then slightly sweeter notes and a savoury feel to it too. And this has been paired with, I say cask whites, they're Benriach, which is a fascinatingly flexible malt. So started in 1898 by John Duff of the same Glenlossie and Longbourn fame. So you couldn't call it Longbourn number 2, but it was literally just across the road and nearby to Glenelgin as well. And then this was mothballed for 65 years, which is very, very sad, but still, I say, facilitated the maltings for Longbourn as well, and then was reinvigorated and he came to live another day, and then especially under Billy Walker until he moved on and sold us on to Brown-Forman. So this is from underneath, I say, Billy's tenure. And you're getting a lovely combination, I say, of flavours, that kind of, I say, cinnamon roll feel, a custardy, I say, jaunt to it too. So super flexible. They make, you know, your traditional unpeated, Highland peated and triple distilled. So sometimes it's a bit drier. It's about, say, from between 48 to, I think, 52 hours fermentation. So dry, but still lots of fruits present. And that's kind of kicking on through. So again, another nice autumn jam.
I get a bit of cinnamon from it. Is that kind of known from Amontillado, or is it just a coincidence?
Yeah,
Is it, or is that?
yeah, absolutely. That kind of like, so nutty, savoury,
Yeah.
sweet kind of feeling. So on the scales of sherries, of which, depending on your feeling, you could say there's 7 styles, there's 11 styles, but it's this little kind of juicy grey area in the in-between where it starts life aged under yeast. So like a Fino or a Manzanilla that Tomatin was aged in. And then either the yeast naturally parts or it's assassinated with grape distillate. And then the blanket that's on top, this lovely yeasty blanket, the veil du fleur, gets whipped off rudely and then being exposed to the air, takes on some more Oloroso or, let's say, what you would associate with Oloroso or Pedro Jimenez kind of light qualities. So savoury, bit of sweetness, and then altogether it's like an amazing kaleidoscope of different notes. So sometimes say different malts will synthesize different feelings. So standalone by itself, it's not very sweet for drinking. It's much more nutty, but often with a fruity whiskey, it, as I say, opens up and it becomes much more like that cinnamon, cardamom, kind of, as I say, cinnamon bun-like feel.
I'm not used to this learning and tasting. This is actually quite good.
Yeah. Oh, there's no learning. Just gumph.
Brilliant. We've had Ian McParlin saying, wonderful you're back on the road. Looking forward to the Manchester tasting on 3rd of October. Thanks very much for purchasing the ticket, Ian. And again, it's the response to the tasting has been tremendous. We announced it just the other day of a tasting around the UK. So Edinburgh sold out pretty quickly. London again wasn't far behind it. Manchester and Glasgow, which had 60 in each tasting, are there's like only a few left. In fact, they might even be gone now. I don't know, but maybe, you know, Nathan's saying maybe, but there was only like literally a handful of tickets left. So we weren't expecting 60 for places that we haven't done tastings at for a long time. In fact, Manchester, I don't know if Cadenheads have ever done a Cadenhead's own tasting, not in my time anyway. So been an amazing response. But if you are looking to join that one, I would get it quickly because I think they're going to be going pretty shortly. Still some availability in Campbelltown as well. So if you are coming to visit that date, which is the 3rd of October, yep, just well I remembered that there. It'll be great to join. I think I'll probably join that night as well. I think I'm in town, so that might put people off. So just ignore I said that. So, but it'll be Lorna hosting that one too. We've got Tony in Edinburgh, Sean in London, and Andrew Wallace will be doing a number of the tastings as well. So he's doing a lot of traveling just now. He's in, where is he just now actually? He was in Glasgow and Edinburgh, I think. And he's going to be in Paris as well. And then he'll be back ready and refreshed for this upcoming tasting. So there'll be a few surprises in it. We'll have some upcoming bottlings, some cast samples, and a few other surprises. Now that's surprising. I don't know what they are yet, but we nearly have them selected. Myself and Ranald were selecting some stuff now that the courtyard's over, and we've got a lot of the kind of future releases planned. We were looking for some stuff for the tasting, so hopefully we can get some stuff that you'll enjoy. Also have one from Whiskey Rover asking the tariffs in the States an issue. For us, generally, just now we're still probably selling the same amount into the US just now, but I think it's probably going to be more hurting the consumer there, because it's obviously the prices are going to be higher. We're actually speaking to somebody that owns a store just yesterday or 2 days ago. Sorry, he was saying that they are a bit of a problem. You know, like the Scotch is still strong, like especially kind of like the brands that may be loyal to, like Cadenheads. You know, like people will still purchase them. They're not going like too extreme just yet, but I think it will have hit a lot of companies as well, and it will have hit us in some way, you know. But we're not seeing the effect of it just yet. I don't think it's probably going to be more in the future if there's maybe stock that isn't shifting there. But I think it would be more for the end consumer. It's probably going to hurt more because it seems to be still popular. We're still going over. Jenna's there just now, so I think they put in some orders for more stock as well. So she's up there working hard selling in the States as well just now. But I would imagine it would be difficult at some point because hiking up is it's already expensive when it gets to the States as it is, but having that extra percentage onto it is a lot of money. What else have we got? G Spence, bring the roadshow to Belfast. We might do. You know, we are going. This is just the first one that we're going to be doing. This, so we are looking for suggestions. I know that some of the suggestions already we've had. Like it's, but in the UK at the moment, it's been the ones like in Cardiff. I think it was Liverpool one as well. Belfast. Then hopefully we're going to take it abroad as well. And this is the kind of plan too. So we're wanting to try and move this forward. We'll see how successful this goes, and we're going to maybe continue and try and expand it as well in the future, and also try and work out the logistics and how we do it too. But we're wanting to try and take this because we've got club members and Cadenhead supporters across the globe, so we want to try and do more of these things.
I think it's about sort of like almost 49 countries at the last count. So if we can try to get to as many as possible, then that would be cracking.
Yeah. Excellent. So we'll maybe move on to dram number 4. And this is the one that nobody's really wanting to try anyway, so we'll just move on to number 5, I think. So number 4.
There's so much we can say about this one.
So number 4 is obviously the one that's probably the most eye-popping of the release. So it's a 40-year-old from an unnameable Highland distillery, and it's part of our Enigma range. Now, I'll let you do your pun, as you said earlier on. What was
it's been maintained very well.
There's hint number 1.
You may say that those stills stand very tall and elegantly.
It's hint number 2. I was going to steal that one actually, so I wish I had one for myself. Have we got anything with an orange nearby here? No. Hint number 3. Mine wasn't quite as subtle, but so 40 years old, and this one is actually 2 casks that we've married together. This is natural cask strength as well, which currently I forgot, but it's 44.5%, and it's been in bourbon hogsheads their entire life as well. Now it's difficult to really talk about this without being. It's that really good sort of old style whiskey that's really quite kind of dusty, kind of musky, kind of feel. It has got a kind of zesty, kind of like, not just because of the clue, but it has got the orange notes as well. It has got that kind of citrus fruit behind it, but it's a cracking dram, this one.
Like, it really is. Like, if you love to say old style Highland whiskies, or even old style, let's say Speyside, kind of like an old Longmorn, then this is cracking.
There's a danger as well once it gets to even when it gets into its 30s, you know, like people just assume it's going to get better all the time. You can actually, I've seen, we've kind of worried that some whiskies, even their sort of 20s, 30s, they can actually get weak. You know, they lose a bit of potency. They don't have maybe that kind of body that you think a 25 or 30-year-old whiskey could be. So once you get to 40, now don't get me wrong, we have been monitoring these and their sister casks for quite a while, and they were really good casks. You know, we haven't just stumbled across it thinking, oh wow, this is a, you know, when they arrived on site about 3 or 4 years ago, we monitored them quite regularly. So the the surprising thing was when we got them all in, because we've still got a number, we've still got maybe, I think, 4 left on in the warehouse. That one of the things that really struck me was they were all good. To have 10 casks come in on site of the same distillery and they're all good, it's in my time anyway, it's pretty rare. You know, you might get half of them are really good, or maybe one's got potential, one needs a bit of help, but they were like, we don't touch any of these. These are all really, really good. You obviously can't bottle everything in one go as well, so you've got to kind of take your time with them. We've bottled ones as the years have gone by as well, but I've got to watch out. Don't want to lose everything from them. But again, once you're starting to get to the 44.5%, which again, even at that strength, it's still got a lot behind it. It's still got a good punch behind it.
Still got a lot of body to it, and say fully matured in bourbon, then you've not lost any of the character at all. It's not been overpowered by sherry or something else, and so it's just, I'd say, still got its wonderful richness rather than being thin, and body to it too. So pretty fine, and say price wise, compared to what a 40-year-old would be from the same distillery, is a good gambit.
There's some people asking for clues, you know, so we've got Devlin Grey, Whiskey Rover, Ruth. You're all pretty much correct there. That's but I won't say what they've said because it's pretty blatant for what they've got. But yeah, what else have we got here? Sister Cass, 37-year-olds. Yes. Yeah. There's one of a Glenfiddich was bottled a few years ago that got too far in age. I'm not taking the blame for that one, but yeah, but you know, these things can happen. You know, and it's also opinion too with some of those ones, even ones that we've thought, what was it? There's some at the courtyard. We were actually doing the re-racking demonstration, and it was Kerry who works in production. She's a warehouse manager, and she was like she sees all my notes like when I'm writing them down for like what the re-racks are going to be, and sometimes my notes are maybe not for public consumption. And I had a few people going, "What do you mean this is bland?" But I didn't realise the demonstration had finished. I was like, "What?" Yeah, Kerry told me you thought this was bland because you gave them a taste of the whiskey before it was re-racked in a rum cask, and it was previously in a rum cask as well. And I tried that again actually, and I was like, actually, it wasn't as bad as I first thought, but I still think it needed the re-racking, so I'm standing by that. But it just showed, you know, the amount of people who came up to me saying, "No, I think you should have kept that as it was." I'm going to stick with my guns. I think I'm going to, in a year or two times, I think we'll try it and we'll see how it's going, and I'll think that maybe, hopefully, it'll develop better. But there's a lot of kind of opinion behind each one too. Something. I mean, I think this is amazing. There will be somebody out there who doesn't like it. You know,
that's just
and that's
opinion.
exactly.
It's like so subjective, and the difficulty is like it's a game of faith that you put something into a cask and go, right, okay, I've got an idea, I've got a path for you, and then it might do something completely different, or it's great, but then maybe it could be just even slightly better.
Kevin Griffin, is this what we tasted at Camelton Festival 2024? No, that was a single cask, Kevin, of might have been one of the two. I can't remember off the top of my head, but the one at the 2024 festival was a single cask, and this one was two of them back together. But one of them might have been, I think it possibly was actually, but don't quote me on that just yet. I need to look back on it. I can't remember last week, never mind 2024, but I probably should know that one. What's we got here? I've got a lot more puns and clues for whatever it was.
That pun.
Would you consider a neutral container to theoretically freeze a malt until the market was ready for another bottle? I don't know. I suppose you probably could. I'm probably not in that situation, to be honest with you. It's something that's not come up, but I suppose you would have to maybe consider it. We have put certain things into maybe more inert casks that maybe have been used quite a lot because we think the flavours maybe got. So we probably have actually. So to answer your question, probably yes, it would be because the flavour profile we've got in some of them are actually quite good, but it's maybe just not ready to bottle for whatever reason. Sometimes it can be a decision that maybe it is too, the cost that we purchased it at is maybe too expensive to retail at this current moment. We've maybe just released quite a lot of expensive whiskies at that point, and it would be silly to release too many, so yeah, we actually come to think of it, probably have done that. Like maybe put it into a third or fourth fill cask to try and just slow the because the flavour we've got to a point we think is really good, but you don't want to get it over oaked or can't think of an example, but I'm sure we have at some point. Or we've maybe thought we will plan to do that. I'm sure we have. I'll think about that one. It'll come to me at some point. I think any thoughts in this one as well? Got a lot of guessing puns, but there's any kind of thoughts of the flavours, how you feel it? We've got one as well. Hi guys, any news on the next German stock release? Do you want to do that one, or do you want me to?
You take. I don't know what I'm allowed to say and not say. So
it's fine. We actually it has selected currently the like Jenna, Sophia, and Grant. Jen and Sophia have been sharing the details with importers that'll be coming to. So we're just finalising the allocations with that. Grant McPherson's got his allocation for the UK as well. So it should be upcoming. Wait a minute, when's it getting? Early November.
Yeah.
So you'll probably get the news about the casks mid to late October. I hope I've got the timeline right there. But they have been selected. We know what's in. No hints. There's going to be no hints. I don't want to give anything away because I can't remember what's in it, to be honest.
Yeah, from November, and where it will go, some markets will get it at that point and some a bit later, just on shipping times.
Yeah.
But exciting.
Keep monitoring that Glenvor. Yep, we will. It's coming out for Christmas. This will be your first Christmas with the company, and it's traditional that we try the Glenvor to see if it's okay.
So just need to check.
We do try other whiskies, and it's part of it. We don't just get it for the office and then just go, here's a bottle of Glenvor.
It's childcare. You just need to check how they're doing.
Really enjoyed this dram. It brought back memories. We used to visit the distillery when we're nearby, that particular distillery. And bottle your own in the old cloth sacks and the manager's specials. Excellent. What's nice is bringing back those memories too, and that's what these kind of drams can do too. It is slightly annoying that we're drinking a 40-year-old whiskey and I'm still older than it. I thought it was.
Well, don't worry, it's not a 50-year-old. Could be worse.
Very good. Well, we move on to the next one.
Yes, so talking of nostalgia, so this is a wee bit nostalgic for me. So this is Craigellachie, and so 18 years old, 46%. It's part of the original collection, and this has been fully matured in refill Oloroso. So Craigellachie, wonderful, say, wee epicentre, and pretty close by to Maggie-Knockiter, which is one of my favourite places to stay. And well, that's what we are. And so this is also one of my places of my formative foundational drinking era. But as you pass Craigellachie, you'll probably smell in the ear kind of like almost a bit like a beefy stock feel about it. So I say Craigellachie is like pineapple and party poppers going off all over at the shop. So it's got that wonderful sulphury kind of note, but in a good way. So this has kind of been a core part of Craigellachie's character and been manipulated so. So at the maltings in Glenesk in Angus, they dry the malt there with oil-fired kilns rather than gas-fired kilns, and that sets those building blocks for that nice sulphury character. And they say, no, we don't want it to go away. We want it to try and keep it as much as possible. And they also use worm tubs on site, so in that same kind of stylistic stable as Benriach or Mortlach or Craigellachie. So if you love any of them, then this will be one for you too. So it's got that cracking meatiness in the background and then kind of a leather, kind of musty feel, but married, I say, in chilling out in Oloroso sherry casks. It's well matched, so it's still got lots of body, lots of flavour, and a bit of a kind of, mixture of a Christmas cake, kind of peanut butter pudding vibe. So another one that's cracking for the autumn time.
When we're actually putting this together, sometimes obviously at the beginning when you're first trying ones, a lot of it's a guessing game, and you're just hoping that you're going to create something that's going to be quite good. And a lot of the time you've seen yourself. How do you get on in the office? Me and Ralph come up. Another batch of samples are coming, and we tried this one. And I don't mean that simply Craigellachie's a really good whiskey, but sometimes maybe the casks that we get, we've got maybe do something to them. And 18 years in, generally when we get sherry butts, they can be very tired ones. But I thought these actually look quite good. They smell quite nice. And I remember me and Ralph both tried it and kind of went, it tastes similar to like a Springbank 15.
Yeah,
and
completely get that.
And it was like at the time, I remember thinking, nah, it can't be like that. Or that's just maybe how we thought at the time. But I went back to it, and it's got that kind of similar kind of flavour to it. Now, I'm not trying to sell this as a Springbank 15. This is, and it's trying to give it that, but it has got the similar kind of flavour.
Yeah.
And even though it is Craigellachie, it's an unpeated malt, there seems to be a little bit of kind of, well, maybe a wood smoke to it. I don't know what's causing it. I'm not too sure. But we bottled a Craigellachie a few years ago, and it must have been put into a rogue cask which previously held peated spirit. And I'm just wondering, has maybe something similar happened, or maybe they've fatted the cask into the butts at some point, because we don't get the information from. We're assuming these are there the whole time, but maybe they were vatted, 15 years ago, then put into butts. So there is a kind of a little bit of a wood spice or a kind of smoke element behind it too, but it's got that real kind of Christmas cake kind of taste to it. I think it's a really good dram, this one.
Totally. And Craigellachie as a place is also gorgeous. If you ever want a wee jaunt away, absolutely perfect. Picture as we only 5 miles off from Dufton. And there's a lovely wee, apart from the Craigellachie House Hotel and the famous Highland Inn, which is fabulous. If you go down the way, there's the Firich Side Bar. And that's when I first had my first proper dram, my dram that turned me onto whiskey. And it used to be owned by a guy called Joe Brandy, which I say.
You got whiskey from Brandy?
I got whiskey from Brandy, but he was teetotal because he thought that this would interfere with his work, so he wasn't drinking. And he'd always have a wonderful starch collar and brill creamed hair, and he was an incredibly admirable man, and many people will hopefully tell you so from around there. And my dad went in after Craigellachie, but came out with a Mortlach, funnily enough. But there you go.
But I really do enjoy that kind of style as well. Bourbon's obviously the kind of go-to, but to me, it's obviously kind of refill Oloroso butts, which gives it that kind of like the dark fruit flavour. It gives it the nice bit of spice, the kind of aromatics, but not overpowered. It's not just a case of it's been over bludgeoned by the sherry or what. And there's nothing wrong with but if you're an 18-year-old whiskey, you want it to have more subtle flavours than that. And I think it gives it this. And it's actually going back to it again. I've forgotten how much I enjoyed it. And as I said, I tend to go more for bourbon style, but a refill sherry can be excellent. I think that's my second sort of preference.
especially when balancing out that kind of level of sulphur, that they just meet each other perfectly.
Jimmy Drummond's saying Cardiff, you must have heard it. But yeah, we were actually talking about it because it was 10 years ago. Myself and Grant were in Cardiff doing a joint tasting, and we were talking about, like, when Nathan got the message earlier on that why not? We should probably go try and get to places we've not been for a long time. 10 years is far too long to not be somewhere. So I think we're definitely going to look into that one. So we got here.
And that's the thing, is like, got jams, will travel. So if you let us know where you would love us to be, then we can try and work out where we can be.
Excellent. So we'll go into the final dram, which is, that's over here.
Yeah.
Now, this Enigma that we've got here now, for those of you who are maybe not familiar with the Enigma range, this was one that we started, it's actually just over 2 years ago now. And the reason we started it was to try and give a range to some anomalies we have in our stock, where we either can't name the distillery, or it's maybe a teaspoon malt and maybe we don't want to use the trademark for it, or it's maybe a random blend that's either been done by accident or we've managed to acquire, but we don't really have anything to put on it. Which also answers another question we had from somebody else earlier, asking, is it just single malts? We actually have done blended malts. We've done, which can be classed as teaspoon, but we've done Dalrymple, which is Ailsa Bay. We've done Strathenry, which is from Inchdairney, but we don't use the trademark for it. We will put a code on the side, which eventually we're going to, once the list gets bigger and bigger, people will start to get more used to which number actually fits that particular distillery or that particular teaspoon malt or whatever. But this one is from an undisclosed Orkney distillery, which will probably not too unsurprising. If it's a Highland or a Speyside or an Islay, you might have a few different debates of who it is. This one is pretty certain. You'll know where it is. Yes, Stromness, that's the one. But it's also, for the distillery it is, and it is a giant, it's a famous distillery in its own right. It makes great whiskey. And this is my favourite style of that kind of whiskey too. Bourbon barrels that we used for this one. I think it's 57.5% the cask strength as well. And it's, for 8 years old, it's got a lot of life to it as well. And it's not too youthful. The bourbon casks, we believe, when we bought them at the time, you just get bourbon barrels. But we're pretty sure they were fresh bourbon barrels, because we've actually used some sister casks in the past when they were 6, 7, sorry, because they were actually really good. We've done ones in the warehouse tastings. I believe we actually did one in an original collection many years ago as well. So they were good, and it's like, age, again, we're talking about a prejudice. It didn't matter. It was 8 or 5 or 6 or 7. I think we did a 5, but a 6 or a 7-year-old, sorry. We just liked the flavours behind it. We thought it was good style.
It can be so surprising, and this is wonderfully fresh. I think we've got something we were talking about earlier that might be coming up in November time, which is on the younger side, but punchy and full of flavour. So really, age is a guide, but means nothing.
I mean, I've tried whiskies that are 16 years old that don't have as much complexity to that or taste as good. It's, and it stands out. So even at 57.5, it's not too punchy. I do like a little bit of water into it. I always think it helps open up. This particular Orkney distillery, I think, has got a kind of nice tropical fruit element to it, and the water helps to kind of bring that out to, not dissimilar to a certain distillery that we're associated with in Campbelltown as well, but I feel like they're almost similar in style, a lot of them, especially the younger bourbon kind of whiskies. They they might change when they're older. Or in fact, sometimes when they get really old, they have a similar tropical fruit kind of element, that I believe. But this kind of young style of whiskey, I think that's a cracking dram to me. Any thoughts on this one at all? We've got Christian K is saying the other Enigma I tried at the code Ind Orc 1A. This one is Ind 1B. Yeah, it was. We changed it. That was my fault as well originally. So it was basically took the Orc out because we're going to do the IND stands for island, because we then started to obtain more other, like we potentially have other island distilleries, and just to sort of put it in, it's just Orkney, and we thought, oh no, then we've got another range there. So it was my fault initially, because I think the team actually says no, we should just do it as island IND, and I kind of went, no, I think this is the best way to do it. So I've caused the confusion. So ignore the first code per se. Don't ignore the first code, but yeah, it is the same distillery. We've just changed it to streamline it slightly or make it less messy. Yeah. But yeah, it's my fault again. That was Jimmy Drummond said, I love the Dailuaine and the Craigellachie bottlings and look forward to receiving my bottles. Excellent. Thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate that. Whiskey Rover says they've ramped up production so much. Always a strong single malt at any age. It is. Older ones, younger ones. If it's good whiskey, it just works.
Stands up.
And it does work as well, because it's such a strong spirit as well, and it's a good spirit. Even in the heavier style, like sherries, which is maybe not my go-to with that, but it does stand out. You know, it's not just overpowered. It can actually stand up to it and go, no, I'm still there. You know, it's got the ability to go still tell it as a undisclosed Orkney. Excellent. Any other questions at all, guys, or any thoughts on the bottlings? I think we should probably just go through the list as well and sort of say these are going to be available from our Cadenhead shops from tomorrow. They've been getting sent internationally since the 1st of August as well, so they're going to roughly kind of 20 plus countries as well. Some are there already, as we've found out. Some will take a few more months, but they will reach the four corners of the globe at some point. But just to say, the first one, Dailuaine, so in the Edinburgh, the London, and the Campbelltown shops, and our what's the online shop called again?
Cadenhead.shop.
Cadenhead.shop, that is the one. They're going to be available tomorrow, and the Dailuaine is at £45. Number 2 is the Tomatin 16-year-old, is £70. The Benriach 12-year-old is £60. The Highland Enigma, obviously, at 40 years old, and it is a bit more rare. It is going to be a bit of a higher price, but it is £450. But from a distillery, you barely see any of the stock come from again. And 40 years is quite a long time. I know I'm going to regret saying that in the morning. It's young in some ways, but it's old in whiskey terms.
It's fine. Your knees will just tell the other story.
The Craigellachie is £85, and the undisclosed Orkney is £55 as well. So they'll all be available. So if you talk to if you're nice to the guys in the shops, or speak to them, and if you're looking for anything or any other information about Cadenheads, they'll be more than happy to help too. So just double check we've got anything else first. But Whiskey Rover strong Outturn Dailuaine, my favourite for age, price, and what it offers. And I think again, £45 for a dram is something. When I started getting into whiskey, 45 was it was actually fairly expensive, and it still is. It's a lot of money, but now it seems to be in the cheap end because of the sort of rise in prices, the demand. But we're hoping it's starting to get back to a stage where we can start doing bottlings, and you can get more variety and more affordability from it as well.
And trying to keep things as accessible as possible, because if you can't buy a bottle and you can't sample it, then you can't maybe find something that you absolutely will adore. So it's trying to open that out as much as possible.
Excellent. Got hello from Italy from Martin Glazer.
Hello.
And Christian K loved the Enigma Highland and think the price is fair. Treated myself to the Ben Nevis 25 lately, so we'll pass this time, but both amazing. Thanks, Cadenhead. Well, thank you, Christian. Appreciate the support. Ruth, been great. Thanks, Nate. You don't thank Nate. That gives him an ego. That's we don't want that. No, only joking. But thank you all very much. I think everybody hopefully has enjoyed their tasting tonight as well. Really appreciate all the support that all you guys give us too. Sophia and the team, as we've said earlier on, will be on the road. So if you meet them, say hello. Give them as many awkward questions as you can. That's the best way to do it. But just like to say thank you very much, and hopefully see you next time.
Thank you so much.
Slange.
And hopefully see you soon. Slange.